let us start. We're at 2:14 and 2:01. We're going to clap. Hello and welcome to Ruff Ridge's Deep Space Podcast. I'm your host, the ever-lovable, swashbuckling space fighter pilot, RUFF, Ruff Ridge. I am coming to you from the far-off year of 2090X. And I'm just going to talk about movies and shit as I float through the cold void of space aboard my ship, the Detweiler. If you hear any rustling around, that's just my faithful companion, Poe the Star Killer. And they are a space cat made of pure dark matter. So, yeah, you're going to hear some rustling every once in a while. So, yeah, I am an artist of sorts. At least I try to be. Boy, now that I'm at the talking part, this is pretty hard actually, because now I have to actually think of things off the cuff. So here we go. So yeah, I am a hairstylist by trade and space fighter pilot by survival. I like to make comic books. Currently working on one called Space Paragon. Space Paragon takes place in my time period of 2090X. Follows one rad dark slide in a future 90s setting where he is aboard a space theme park and has to fight his way out as a hoverboarding. What have you? Wow, that was loud. Yeah, this feels weird. I didn't think I was gonna make it this far, but here I am recording my voice on a podcast. So, all right, we're gonna do another clap just so I can figure out how to edit around that. The set looks great, honestly. Not a set. This is my ship, the Detweiler. I'm happy with how it looks. Small vessel. Sometimes I can let other artists in to record with me. And we like to have a good time on here. Maybe even have the one and only Captain Britt join us. So yeah, where to begin? I don't know how I'm gonna edit this to sound good, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, baby. Wow, feels weird having good sound quality finally. So a little bit about myself. I am Ruff Ridge. I have been doing art for as long as I can remember. I've always been interested in comic books and movies and video games. Spent a lot of time growing up in arcades and movie theaters and going to space comic book conventions. I've definitely been in the scene for a while. The space scene, that is. That's me, Ruff Ridge, the one and only swashbuckler. So, yeah, I like to draw more cartoony style illustrations. Some of my inspirations are Genndy Tartakovsky and I would say Bruce Timm. His pinup work is pretty sick. With Genndy, Dexter's Lab was a big influence on me and my art as it was. Let's see here. This one's gonna be full of a lot of ums. It is pretty late in space right now, and it It has been a long day of fighting against corporate tyranny aboard my ship, the Detweiler. I have shot down a lot of enemies today, and I am still ticking. And now I am relaxing with a fun podcast. Yeah. Life is fun, isn't it? One moment you're fighting for your life and blowing bad guys out of the sky, or I guess the deep void, aboard my cool ship, the Detweiler, and then before you know it, you're sitting alone in the deep space vacuum, with only floating corpses around you to make a podcast for funsies, so that you don't go mad and lose your mind. Let's see here. What do you want to know about space? Space is cold. I am wearing a very thick thermal jacket here to protect me, but I'm also not wearing pants. I know every podcaster likes to make that joke, but here I am, fulfilling that prophecy. I also had some space edible, probably like 6 hours ago. So I'm like at the end of it where I'm just kind of tired and yawning into my microphone and just kind of winding down from my day of shooting down people and enjoying recreational. Well, I have a medical card, so it's both, you know. Got that sciatica, that space sciatica. That shit hurts. Oof. Got that in the whatever the space version of COVID was, from sitting around too long and watching a lot of Mooney plays and junky horror movies on Tubi. Let's see. Let's get into. I guess I was talking about my cool backstory. My origin. I am from the the desert planet of Phoenix originally, where life has dwindled to a mere fraction of people, where the only ones that you can call your friends in the void of the deep year of 2090X space Arizona is other mad artists who are just as insane as you are, or cacti, space cacti. But yeah, I am now in my lovely ship here, the Detweiler, which it's a bit of a mess, as you can see. I got a lot of cans and paper. I got my trusty blaster here. I don't know if it has a name. Shoot. I would just call it the Q. The Q, the blaster. I'm gonna set this down before I make more of a mess of my set here. Yeah. What do you want to know? Let's see here. Let's look at our cool notes that I've made for myself. So yeah, what are some fun things I can talk about? I did space comic book conventions for 8 to 9 years. I did Amazing Arizona, Phoenix Comic Con, Atomic Comics, back when that was still around. I don't know if it came back. I think I heard Atomic Comics came back. And then this is in Phoenix. There's an Atomic Comics in Hagerstown, Maryland as well, which is apparently before the Phoenix comic. Oh my god, Comic Con. Flippin' Phoenix Comic Con. Oh god, I did it again. Let's get this one right. Phoenix. Fucking Atomic Comics. I started there. I met a lot of friends at the Bazaars. You just had a little booth that you would set up in the comic book shop. And sorry, I'm hitting my my cans that I've drunk out of. They contain goose. Actually, yeah, let's go into some of these. I've got some Spizzy, yeah, Spizzy 0 calorie soda. What have I had? I've had some goose products. Pretty tasty. I do like a good goose. I've had a nuke juice. Let's look out for that one. That one's actually pretty good. Gives you a good buzz. Nuke juice is kind of like if Surge and that radioactive Panera lemonade they had a baby, and that baby, man, they did not raise that thing well, and that baby had a grudge, and they fucking heard about it. That's what nuke juice is. Yeah, they're pretty good. Goose Wild is tasty. I think I've got some of that somewhere. Do I have Goose Wild? I don't think I made a can for that. Or made a can for that. Drunk that one yet. Obviously, this is a real spaceship. This is what I'm talking about, you guys. So, yeah, some things I've been into lately. One, I hope I'm pronouncing this, VIY. It's a Russian horror movie from 1967. This one was really good. This was quite enjoyable. About I think they're called philosophers, pastor guy. Him and his buddies are out wandering around in the wilderness, and they come across a little shack and an old lady. Old lady hosts one of the guys. Of course, I forget his name, but he's a Cossack. He's a pastor, God-fearing man, and she turns out to be a witch. Tries to have her way with him in a barn, and he's like, "No, thank you." And she pulls some straight-up magic on him, and so he gets away from her, but he kills. He thinks he tries to attack her or kill her, but he ends up. Turns out to be like a young woman, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So then he gets a calling from a guy that he has to go to that young woman's funeral and read her rites. And he's like, "Oh shit, is the jig up? Did they find me out?" But apparently she requested him by name before he died, so he had to go basically be in a room with her in this spooky, oh my god, the way they designed this church, it looks so good. This spooky church. This set, all the design in this movie was top notch for a movie in the 60s. The special effects, characters, the setting, Russian is cool. I liked it. I would see more Kazakh style horror movies. I should find more. See what other I can find out. But it was good. So he has to try to save her soul since she's murdered or whatever. But it's the witch. So he's basically has to stay in there for 3 days and do battle with this witch. And it is highly enjoyable. don't think I gave away too much. The special effect, especially in the end. Oh, the end when he throws down with the witch. All these spooky demons come out, and oh, it's spooky even for like a 60s. Like it got my goat. I was like, whoa, okay. There's all these parts with these like giant hands that come out, and there's a cool effect they do in the movie where when characters are running away, or I think it's like one where he's flying on with the witch. They have like a rotating set, and he's just like, and it looks like he's, you know, running through the woods or whatever, but it's just the set is just kind of rotating, and it gives it this weird, almost dreamlike feeling to it, where you're kind of like, whoa, it's very cool, very surreal. I love surreal horror movies, especially when they lead more into that like fantasy horror aspect, like House, or House, if you're not say it like that. the 70s Japanese horror movie. I could do a whole video on that one. I might bring some people on to talk about House. Back in the day, I would do horror movies around the fall time, which we are now entering here in space, the far reaches of the year 2090X. And I would play that one pretty much every Halloween. People will be like, oh, which one are we starting this year? And it's like House. They're like, oh, we watched that last year. I'm like, well, when was the last time you watched it? Was it your place last year? Well, congrats, you're gonna watch it again. I don't care what the crowd is, who's viewing with us. Freaking, you're gonna watch House if you come to my horror movie nights, because that's a classic. But that one's a really good fantasy horror movie. A lot of good elements to it. This one was good. I liked how Russian it was. I don't know a whole lot about old Russian customs and stuff, or how they handled kind of like spooky ceremonies and stuff like that, but it was very cool, highly enjoyable. I very much recommend that one. Sorry, just petting my cat Poe, the beautiful Void companion cat. My flight suit jacket is shedding on me because I've had this bad boy for a hot minute. I think I had this with me when I went to Space Japan. I think it's the same one. Is it the same one? I think it is, yeah. I got a bunch of cool pins and stuff, yeah. Is any of this interesting? If not, that's cool. So, yeah. Next movie I want to talk about here. Locus, that's spelled L-O-K-I-S, a manuscript of Professor Wittenbach. This released in 1970. Also saw this one on Tubi. It was good, very good. I sometimes with slower paced horror movies, it can be hit and miss. You know, I think it depends on the build up and the payoff, because, you know, sometimes it just drags. You know, it's like those 50s, what would it be? Excuse me while I rehydrate here. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. 50s like atomic age horror movies where it's just characters talking in rooms until a man in a costume like an hour in shows up and like you know, shambles to another room and then like grabs a lady, and then that's the whole movie. Maybe it ends with it exploding. Like that stuff, oof, that stuff is hard to watch. But this one was good. I feel like it was well paced. But this one's about a pastor kind of guy. Oh, that's my cat knocking stuff over. That's cool. Who he goes to? I think he goes for a manuscript, like the title of the movie, and he he travels to commune with a tribe of people who don't even have like a written language, I think. And he comes across this manor with this very unfortunate gentleman who lives with his mother. And he stays with them, and he has like ancient manuscripts and stuff there too that he can look at. So he now I'm trying to remember. I just finished this movie today, and I mean, it's also late in the deep void of space right now. It's the yawning. I'll fix this in post probably, or you have to listen to it. Who knows? We'll see how this whole recording goes. Like I said, long day of shooting out other corporate space fighter pilots out of space. You know, call me Ace. They don't. My name's Ruff, but excuse me. Yeah, it's been a long one. So Locust. So there's like a legend that his mom was like attacked by a bear, and they killed the bear, and then he was born, and then he is just kind of a beast of a child, and his mom is crazy. But as the movie goes on, you're kind of like, okay, what is the setup here? They're treating the mother very poorly with, you know, old barbaric. I forget the time period on it. I think it's like late 1800s or mid 1800s. You know, we're kind of blending that magic meets science. You know, he meets a shrink who's trying to help the mom, but, you know, by help her in that time period, it's literally just dunking her in a cage in a river repeatedly, and they're like, this will cure her crazy. Let's tie her to a bed every night. That'll make her feel better. You're like, I don't know about all that, fam. Of course, the doctor is just witnessing all this, and he's like, oh, shit. But also, you know, he doesn't say anything, which I guess makes sense, because you're staying at this kooky place, and they have very strange customs in this area. You know, it starts off with like gypsies dancing with like a bear stuff. Like, a different time indeed. But it was good. Slow paced at times, but I felt like they had enough interesting things with the characters to keep it going. Like they is more methodical, and then, you know, it doesn't have the same payoff in the end, because whereas Vi has a big, I feel like for a horror movie, a good explosive payoff. This one is more of a thought-provoking one. It's more, you don't like see like any demons or anything or any monsters, but it is, you know, more implied about like a beast, you know, that this guy has become. And it's good, it's subtle, and there's enough lavishment where it's not like, you know, just like a low budget thing. Like, they're shooting it in this pretty cool castle, like not as cool as the set design in Vi, but This one's like more of like it's like a huge manor, you know, like a massive castle. Um, I would still love to go to. I mean, it looks dope. Um, I love the setup of it. Um, let's see here. What else did I get into? I started the movie Prague Nights. I can't talk too much about it. I'm about halfway through right now. I took a break from it to work on this bad boy. Excuse me, I just burped from all this space soda that I've been drinking. Like Goose. The fine product makers of Rabid Ray's Goose products. Look for that in your local space grocery mart. So it's good though. Prague Nights so far, I believe it's 1969, maybe, I think. I'll have to confirm that. But kind of like an anthology style horror movie, which I enjoy, kind of like Creepshow, or I guess like Twilight Zone, the movie, or what's another? I mean, there's tons of anthology horror movies. The framework is a horny dude in frog wearing a suit tries to go around and hook up with a lady, finds a strange one, and they go try to do it in a cemetery. And she has like a creepy chauffeur dude who's like very like he's all upon, and she starts telling him all these like folk stories. So where I'm at with it, let's see. First one's about a golem, and then the second one's about I think like a satanic lady in a big castle. As you can tell, I've been on a big castle, old gothic horror kind of kick lately. That's a favorite genre of mine as far as the horror movies go. I think it's neat. Anything where they have like just a stellar location, or they built like a dope set and they just use the shit out of it. That's what I'm into. You know, you get fancy costumes, you know, ridiculously wealthy people in the olden days. You're like, what did you even do? Just born into this wealth, and it's fucking don't even know what to do with it. You know, can't say the same. You know, I grew up on the harsh minds of oh yeah, I already said Space Phoenix. I cut my teeth in the yeah, you get it. We'll see how far this we can keep the illusion going. But it's good so far. I can't fully give the solid thumbs up because I haven't finished it yet, but I will get back to you guys on that one when I finish it, probably in the next episode. Let's see here. Jedi Survivor. That one came out in 2023. Playing it on the PS5. I mean, my retro PS5. I'm in the year 2090X. I like the PS5. Probably one of my fave consoles. I loved the 4. I was like, no, you can't top this shit. It's got a Blu-ray player. I mean, the 3 did too, but 3 had its own issues, and it had good games and stuff, but I mean, I would say like my favorite game console, that's hard. Either Sega or Sony, honestly. I grew up on the Sega Genesis. That was my jam. Freaking Comic Zone and Sonic. Yeah, that's where it's at. Shit. But obviously, technology has evolved and games have gotten cooler. Not cooler than Comic Zone. Comic Zone is pretty sick. That shit's still rad. But I'd say PS5 is probably my favorite right now because that thing is, that thing's nice. This isn't like a brag or whatever. I just like the console, and I'm not endorsed by anybody. I'm floating in space in the year 2090X. So I mean, I'm just literally out in the void right now. I see. Is that a charred corpse? No, that's a piece of debris. Space trash? I don't know what that is. Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, I got my sweet art up. This is a Bram Tchaikovsky album. Pretty sick, recommended. Strange Man, Changed Man. Very good. Found it at a space thrift store. And I don't have a space vinyl player, but look that shit up on YouTube. Space YouTube. And sorry, I'm also recovering from, I think it's we call it void lung. I don't know. Recovering from that. I had that for a good 6 days. So just shit's rough. When you're just like bedridden. Not even bedridden because you can't, because you have to like take care of things and people and like make money, like shoot people out of the space sky because they're trying to kill you. Yeah, so it sucks when you're like dying sick and you still have to make it happen. Flip, it sucks. But luckily I'm on the tail end of it. And also I didn't know I had like medicine under my cabinet until like day 2 or 3 of it. I'm like, this would have been nice to find earlier. My other poster is for the Snowbird Freestyle competition of 1976. I wasn't there or anything, but I bet it was cool. Yeah, we're chilling. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boop. What was I doing? I was talking about Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor, very good. I'm not usually a fan of EA as a company, mostly because they're literally, they're like Disney, I guess, just kind of like the Empire, whatever, you know, and they're just shooting ships out of the sky or what have you, and, I don't really like singing their praises very much, but when they make good shit, you're like, well, what am I going to do about it? Not play a game that I like? It's good. It's real good. I feel like, I'm sure online it's people sing its praises. I just remember the reception when it first launched. I didn't play it when it first launched. I like took my time and waited on it. Because people were complaining about how buggy it was, and I was like, I want to enjoy this. I think I literally bought my PS5 for the game. Actually, I bought it for the Knights of the Old Republic remake that they were going to do. Oh, shoot. Just give my camera. Alright, now we're good. That they were working on with Aspire. That I knew it's not going to end well because they're like, oh yeah, freaking, it'll be out in the year. And you're like, a full remake of Knights of the Old Republic? That game is pretty big, and you're just gonna like, and they're like, it's gonna have all new combat, and it's gonna be retooled from the ground up. You're like, and you're gonna shit it out in a year? And of course, lo and behold, it did not get made or come out, or whatever the story is. I don't know. I'm not Wikipedia. Don't ask me like what actually happened with it. I don't know. I was just very disappointed when it just never happened. And they're like, "Yep, we're gonna can that." It's like, cool, thanks, appreciate it. But yeah, Jedi Survivor. That's what we're talking about here. Jedi Survivor. You play as Cal Kestis, and you are continuing your fight against the Empire. You have a cool goth girlfriend and like a crew. You got a pilot named Grizz. What's her name? Kira? Yeah, Kira. This to me, I feel like is like a return to Star Wars. I feel like it hits all the right beats and notes. Like it's visually beautiful. I like the design. All the planets and motifs you go to. The first time I played it, I just did it on story mode. I just kind of burned through it and was like, okay, cool. Let's let's just enjoy it and not get too wrapped up in it. Because the first one, what was it? Jedi. I want to say Outcast, but that's another one. Freaking Jedi Order, I think. Fallen Order? Yeah, Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order. The first time I played it, I did not like it. For whatever reason, I played through it and I was like, whatever, it's mid at best. Fuck this game. And then a year or two went by and I replayed it and I was like, whoa, I get what this is going for. This is way better, actually. Like, holy cow. I was blown away. That was good. Oh yeah, Cal is a Jedi, or of the Jedi Order, until it came down from Order 66. And I don't want to have to explain that. If you don't know what Order 66 is, I just fucking... Why are you even listening to the podcast about a guy that's trapped on a spaceship in space? Jesus. But it's... yeah, it's freaking dope. I just lost all my steam because I am tired. It is, what is it, 2:20 in the space AM? Damn. Yeah, it's space 2 a.m. Jesus. Space Jesus. This is... what a long day. Yeah, so what else? What else about Jedi Survivor? I like the combat. It's one of those where once you get the feel for it and kind of hit that flow state with it, I've put it like about 100 hours into the game. I've beaten it on New Game Plus mode. And I just cranked it up to medium for the second playthrough. Depending on the game, usually first-person shooters, I'll play on hard mode, but if it's like a long adventure game, I'll just play it on medium or story mode, depending. Because I don't have the time or the energy to spend on video games like I used to. Which is a blessing and a curse, I guess, because I would crank out hours of like Final Fantasy. Like, when I think about the amount of times I've put into the Grandia games. If you're familiar with that, we've had games on the was it the Dreamcast? Dreamcast and PS1, and I think PS2, and they just did remasters, which I couldn't get back into those Grandia games. That would ruin me. I like JRPGs and stuff, and Western RPGs in general, but boy, the amount of time they require or sink, it's crazy. It's like the Knights of the Old Republic games. The amount of hours I've put into the Knights of the Old Republic is stupid. Like, when that shit came out, I was playing that stuff religiously. Um, I'm big. I don't know. Take When you say Star Wars fan these days, it's a loaded bag because it's either you like the Disney stuff or you're a fan of what it was to you nostalgically, or you I don't know, you tell yourself that you like the new shows, or it's so all over the place. I am a Old Testament guy myself. I grew up on the original trilogy and of course watched the prequels as they came out in theaters. But the original trilogy is still kind of my favorite. Return of the Jedi, I got a sweet Return of the Jedi pin on my jacket here. I would say that's my favorite. I get heat from it because everybody's like, oh, it's Empire. I guess Revenge of the Sith. People really like Rogue One, which I like parts of Rogue One. You know, I couldn't tell you the main character's name. Jin? Something? Jin Urso, maybe? Robot? Cassian guy? See, this is what I mean about being like liking Star Wars. Like, I haven't watched Cassian or Andor or whatever very much. I started the first season, got like 3 episodes in. Everybody yells at me to go watch it, and I'm like, didn't really do it for me. People say you have to like finish the whole season. I don't know. Like Mandalorian, I liked the first 2 seasons a lot. The first one was like, this is Star Wars. Like, was it clunky and it had like rough edges? Yes. Yeah, that's what makes a good Star Wars. You know, like, they're not perfect. They're space adventures or whatever. In season 2, the episode with Asuka. See, I tried watching the Clone Wars. This is what Star Wars is now. You try to talk about one thing, then you talk about another thing, and then you talk about another thing, and only half of them are things that I actually like, or took the time to sit through it. But fucking Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. That's pre Force Awakens Luke Skywalker. That's where it's at. Green lightsaber. Heck yeah. I think that's when serotonin first activated my brain, is when it's before he does the little fight scene on Jabba's sail barge and he flicks on the lightsaber, like R2 shoots it at him. Frickin', that was the shit. I literally like, oh, like my third eye opened during that scene, and I was awakened to the life of being a swashbuckling space fighter pilot. Because that shit's dope. That literally makes the whole movie for me. I mean, when he confronts the Emperor, the speeder bike chase, that stuff's good too. I mean, I have complaints with it too. It's like the whole little chunk after the first act, basically. After they fuck up Jabba, they fly away, and R2 goes and visits Yoda, and they plan the Endor thing, and basically up until they get to Endor, that whole area is kind of just like, hey, he talks to Yoda and stuff, but it's kind of like just white noise or whatever. Like, you know, that's when you go like get a snack or, you know. But once things start kicking off and the action takes off, people complain that Leia and Han don't have enough to do, but I disagree. I think they still do a great job, and you get some great moments with them. Like later on, they kind of cap off the "I love you" moment. Uh, it's good. I like it because then the focus there is Luke fighting Vader and the Emperor, and that's the focus. So again, uh, Empire's overrated. There, I said it. I still love Empire. I'll watch it whenever it comes on. But also Hoth kind of, I think it's overkill. I've played so many games and I've seen Empire so many times. I think the Hoth battle's cool, but that's one of those where like the more you watch it, like it's almost like, I don't know. I'm probably gonna get hate for even just talking shit about Hoth, but compared to like the opening scene with Jabba, where they just wreck him, like it's good. Like I like this stuff with Leia and Han. See, I'm supposed to be talking about Jedi Survivor, and I'm talking about Empire. That's good. That's solid. Up until Luke has the throwdown with Vader, like, cause him on with Dagobah and Yoda, it's nice, you know. But as far as like, I don't know, engagement goes, I'm sure Red Letter Media or whoever would disagree. I don't know. They're fucking space opera sci-fi movies schlock, so sue me. I'm the kind of Star Wars fan where I think most of Star Wars sucks, and I like what I like. I like most of Revenge of the Sith. There's still parts of it that are still drag and still have failings of the prequels. I like parts of Attack of the Clones, like the meme stuff, and I like the lightsaber stuff in Phantom Menace and the speeder bike chase. The video game is good of that too. Yeah, this is just me rambling about Star Wars in space in the podcast. But all of this is to say that Jedi Survivor, I feel, captures a lot of those elements that made the original trilogy super good. Especially the more dramatic elements of it, while still maintaining that swashbuckling edge. Like all the different lightsaber styles, that you're not just bound to like a handful. Oh man, I am fading fast on this late night space podcast. I wonder how many times I've said the word space on this podcast. When it's all you're looking at right now, like on the other side of this camera or microphone, I'm just looking out into the void. I just see vacant space with some dead bodies and shit that from, like in Star Fox. Oh, Star Fox. Now we're talking. If we're talking favorite video games, that's one of them. Star Fox 64. Even the originals. That shit is... I would beat Star Fox 64 before I would go to school, like, almost every day. In, like, middle school, I'd say late elementary, early middle school. I would just crank out a couple planets or just beat the whole game before I go to school. And even before the internet, I was able to get it where I could beat the whole game on mission accomplished, just from playing it so much. Yeah, that's one of my main inspos is Star Fox. That shit rules. Man, Nintendo sure dropped the ball on Star Fox. Star Fox Zero on the Wii U. I bought a Wii U for Star Fox Zero. I was like, this is it. We got a new Star Fox. We're back in, baby. Star Fox Command and Star Fox 3DS, excellent, great entries. Both titles a lot of fun. And then Zero was a dumpster fire. That sucked. It, people defend it. I think I watched a video of like Matt Pat trying to play it with Kojima or something, and it was like a rehash of 64 without all the charm. And there were cool parts. I mean, I think Star Wolf had an actual like Voltron style star changing, like his ship would turn into a wolf robot or whatever. I mean, that was sick. I like Star Wolf, but bruh, you would transform on levels into a tank, and it would flip the control mapping on you. So like your thruster and your what was it, speed up button or whatever, or your your change button, like they would flip it when you would go into a different mode, and so you would fumble controls, and then they would put you in situations where you had to like switch in between first person and the thing in the tablet, and it was awful. They were doing way too much with it, and it was not fun. I've almost returned my entire Wii U because of how unfun it was. Like I was like, this blows. I think I also got Skyward Sword with it. Fuck Skyward Sword. I also like the Zelda games, but Skyward Sword, it did not do it for me. This is just me complaining about video games now. But what are you gonna do? It's all I have in the cold vacuum of space, where I currently reside. So yeah, I think I'm gonna cut the podcast here. Thank you for listening to the Ruff Ridge Deep Space Podcast with me, your host, RUFF, Ruff Ridge. Check me out on Space Paragon on Patreon, where you can see updates and posts about this silly podcast I'm making, and on my comic book, Space Paragon, which I did not talk about, or did, I do not know. Yeah, maybe I'll be more cohesive in later episodes. But for now, we did it, baby. We filmed the first episode of a podcast. And hell yeah, dog. This is where it's at. But keep rocking. I believe in you. Keep flying, babies. Because shit's rough out there in space. And you gotta gird your loins, if you know what I mean. And make art. And enjoy art. If you're gonna survive out here. And yeah, maybe I'll get some other cool artists on the show. We shall see. So I'm done here. Later, babies. Catch you on the dark side of the moon. Ruff Ridge out.